All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's podcast. Today's podcast is titled Being Travel Friendly. Now, I went ahead and decided to create this podcast because when you go traveling, and this particularly entails traveling via by air, by plane, by seaplane, anything that will keep you up in the skies, this is what that entails. Okay. However, you can actually apply this when traveling via a ship, a boat. You can even do this when traveling with passengers in their car. Okay. But for most of my tips, this is going to entail traveling by air. Okay. Because this channel is all about aviation. Make sense? Okay. Let's make sure we get that out the way first. Okay. So, tip number one. Okay. Make sure that you are aware of your itinerary. Okay. Now, I'm going to pull out a useful tool, okay? And I think most of you, if not all of you, have one. That is a cell phone, a smartphone, okay? Believe it or not, most airlines actually have their own airline app, and United is no exception, okay? As you can see, there are multiple things that you can do on the app. Track your miles, you can book a flight, you can look at your trips, your wallet, your credits, your receipts, your travel ready center, all this. Now, you can go to flight status. Okay. This podcast is not about the app, but I want to show and share something with you because, folks, let me tell you, I can't tell you the number of times that when people will tell you, oh, you need to go here, they get to the airport and they're wondering why their name is not called or their flight is not on the board. They're at the wrong airport. How you do that, I don't know. Like, to me, I would verify and ensure that I'm there. So I kind of foreshadowed where I'm going with this. Okay. So for the lack of better words, let's check a flight. Okay. So let's say that you are traveling at IAD Dulles. Okay. You're going to go to Geneva. Okay. Now, unfortunately, and fortunately for me, but unfortunately for you, um, I have memorized these flight numbers. Some of these flight numbers, folks, they never change. But I'm here to tell you that they are for your information. Okay. Domestic numbers, they tend to change, but these numbers don't. So this is an international flight. So I typed in United's app, United Airlines. I typed in the date, which is today, and I typed in the flight number. Okay. You're going to type done. You're going to tap search. Okay. It's going to tell you Washington to Geneva, and it's going to tell you all this information. Now, here's where it gets fun. There is your departure date. There is your arrival date. This is your gate, and that is your gate. That means they don't know where you're going to pull in just yet because it leaves at 5:35 p.m. It is 2:21 a.m. in the morning. Do you think that they already know where it's going to happen? Because I'm here to tell you folks, we have multiple trips going on throughout the day, as well as other airports. They can't possibly know what's coming in, especially a major airport that's coming in hours and hours and hours before. Now, if you're going to a very, 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 very small municipal airport and there's one or two flights, maybe three flights a day, then you're pretty much guaranteed where you're going to park, right? So they would tell you that. But this particular information is way outdated when it's going to occur 4 or 5 hours later. Okay. So, but they know it's going to be dropped off in Terminal 1. Now, fortunately, they already know what plane they're going to be using because they've already scheduled this plane to leave for the flight. Okay. So, the reason I'm telling you this is because, all right, if you are traveling, and matter of fact, if you type it in, it will even tell you, look at this. It is an IAD. So you look and you go, wait a minute, I'm at Reckon, DCA. Why does this say IAD? Are you kidding me? I'm in the wrong airport. So, the first tip, verify and ensure your information coincides with the information you're given and that is accurate and up to date. They will never book you on a flight in one airport and send you to another one. Doesn't happen. Now, the only reason that they could do that is if you missed um your departing trip because you made a connection and there is a connection in an airport within 30 minutes from you. They may tell you, "We found you a trip. It's leaving in an hour. You can get to the airport, take this shuttle or take this bus or take this train even and go there." Okay? And you can make it and you check in, check your bags, all that good stuff, right? And they can say, "Okay, now just head there, GPS, Google Maps it, whatever you." Okay, but you'll make it on time if you just go now, okay? That's the only reason that they would send you to another airport if you're currently in an airport, but the itinerary before you even get there would never direct you to the airport you don't need to be, okay? However, sometimes if you type in Washington, D.C. airport, you may be led astray because there are 2 airports in D.C., okay? Now, by technicality, Washington Dulles is not actually inside of Washington, D.C. It's actually located outside of Washington, D.C., but it's part of the Washington, D.C. area. Now, if you look at Reagan and the boundary for Reagan and DC, Reagan actually is on the neck and cusp of the DC borderline. Okay. The the actual um bo- county border or district borderline to Virginia to Maryland and all that, right? It sits within that cusp. So that is Washington DC's airport. Okay. They call it national, they call it Reagan, but the proper acronym for that airport is D for dog, C for Charlie, and A for apple. Okay. Now, I'm not using correct mnemonic alphabet, but we're going to go through that in another podcast. Okay. And if you guys haven't already caught on, yes, that is an aircraft. And I'll give you a couple of tries to see if you can figure out which one that is. And the best guess wins. Um, And of course, you can't really see it up close, but I will show you that in a little bit, okay? I will link that to a video and you guys can try and reference that to see, okay? But anyway, so if you get to IAD and they tell you, yeah, you're at Washington Dulles. What do you mean? I'm supposed to be at National. Well, yeah, this is Washington, but it's not because it's Washington Dulles and Washington Reagan. There's 2 different airports. So, tip number 1, let's recap. Ensure and verify your itinerary is correct. Okay. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Now I'm going to help you with your luggage here. Okay. All right. Let me pause this whole live stream. Okay. This is a disclaimer. I am not going to tell you anything that I am not allowed to inform you of. Okay. That is something that I have been sworn to. Okay. I am not going to dispel any information you're not allowed to know, information that can get me in trouble, yada, yada, yada. I am only here to give you some information that will help you get through this process onto your plane faster. Okay. Now, any passenger could figure this out. Any passenger could put their 2 cents together and be like, okay, so if they're going to do that, then if I do it before, it would make a whole lot more sense and it would speed up this process. Those are the kinds of tips I'm giving you because, folks, let me tell you, I travel a lot. That's why I work in the industry. I travel. It's not that uncommon, right? So I'm sharing you these tips because I've been behind customers and travelers and people multiple times. In fact, I've been to multiple airports. And another podcast, I will tell you all these airports that I've been to if you guys care to know. Okay. So we'll do that in another one. And I'll share some of the weirdest stories that I've ever encountered while traveling. Okay. And I'd also like to dispel something too. I'm traveling on standby. So I travel on a separate part of the world, well, separate part of the aviation world, not the technical world, the global world, but the aviation world. I travel separately from the revenue or the customer side. Okay. And when I'm paying out of my own pocket, I am traveling on the customer side. And I'll share some stories from non rev and some stories from rev. Okay. So we'll go on to that later. But the second tip I have has to do with when you're in the airport. Okay. When you get to the airport, they're going to obviously ask you some questions. They ask everybody these questions. Now, they're going to ask you questions multiple times. Okay. And these are questions that everyone is supposed to answer, and you have to answer them honestly and truthfully. Okay. As anybody would and should. Okay. Now, my point here is that when they ask you these questions, if you fly, maybe not often, or if you fly often, prepare these things ahead of time. Okay. What does that mean? That means if they're going to ask you, can we see your ID? Can we see this? Can we see that? Okay. Prepare these documents handy in one folder or in one pouch or in a sleeve so that when you get to the counter, okay, let's say that there are 5 or 7 or 12 people deep from the counter to where you're standing, right? Yes, it's not going to make the line lickety split fast, but let me tell you, if I am third in line and I don't have all this handy, and they ask me, can I see your ID? Can I see your boarding pass? Can I see this? Can I see that? If I have to take the time to pull this out, to then show them, to then wait for them to verify this, to then put this back in there, to then put it away, to then go through the next step, do you see where the delay in the timing is? If you have this ready available, okay, and folks, let me tell you, I'm not here to degrade, destroy you here. I am merely trying to emphasize that this instructions they are providing in these podiums, these booths, these places, they're not just hearing them talk. There's a reason that they are speaking these to you, okay? And if you don't know this, it actually makes sense. It actually speeds up the process. When they say, have your boarding pass out and ready, have your ID out and ready, if everyone had done that, okay, then the process would be much faster because you go to the counter. Here's my ID. Here's my pass. This and that. I'll take this. You go through that. Cleared. Okay. You guys understand where I'm going with this, right? You guys on board with me? On board with me. Funny, but it wasn't intentional. But you guys get the point, right? Okay. So the second tip is to have these ready when you walk in. Okay. And I also want to tell you the distance between the front doors and the counter is not less than 2 feet. It is well past that. Probably a good 12 to 30 feet, if we're being honest, right? Because it's never just there. There may be some queue lines, but that to where you need to be, it's never like less than 3 or 4 feet, as in 3 or 4 good steps to there. So, to help everyone out, including me, including those who are flying, those who are traveling, even people and customers, people to help, have it ready. So that's tip number 2. Okay. So we've gotten up to the counter, we've gotten everything to go. You put your bags up there and this and that and the other. Now that gets me to my third point. Folks, I cannot stress this enough. There is no fee for you to allow yourself to check the weight of your bags. There are podiums all around the podium area where the ticket counter is. Do you know why they are on and working? So you can check the weight of your luggage. All you have to do is go up to them, take your luggage, and place it on there. And if it's over the limit, you should expect them to tell you, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am, whoever you are, okay? Your bag limit has been exceeded. You are over the weight threshold. We need to charge you for the weight. We need to charge you for this, okay? Or you need to understand that the baggage weight has been exceeded, okay? Either take some items out or pay the difference for the weight. Most often than not, you'll take some items out and distribute them into something so your weights are even, okay? So you shouldn't be surprised when you find out your bag is overweight because, like any good passenger, you can walk over, weigh your bag, and find out, oh no, it's overweight. Before I even step up to the podium, let's fix this before we get there. Because let me tell you, if I get to the airport with enough time to get through security, to get through the ticket counter, to get through the gate, and to get through the transportation to get to my plane, and I have to get held up because you get to the counter fully knowing that your bag is overweight, and you get to the counter and they say, I'm sorry, but your bag is overweight. You need to take some items out. And so you're holding up everybody. Because remember, it's not just you and two people. It's you and 70, 100 other people. I say 70, 100. I'm exaggerating here, but do you understand the point here? You're holding up everybody. Now, when the traveling season is very low and there's not many people flying, people aren't going to give you a bad eye as much. But let me tell you something. Try that during holiday season when everybody is traveling, okay? The whole ticket counter is flooded with people trying to check in at the ticket counter, and all of them probably have about 30 minutes before their plane is taking off, and they haven't even cleared security. And you wanna tell me that you're gonna hold them up by having to open your suitcase and move items around? Let's avoid all of this and just weigh your bags at the counter before you get to the ticket counter. Okay. Now, also, even when you get to these self checkout places, there are scales there. That's what they do. They tell you put it on the scale and then we'll print your boarding pass. Okay. Your baggage ticket. You can do it without even signing into the podium. Just weigh your bag. Okay. So that's tip number 3. So we've gone to the ticket counter. You've got your boarding pass. You've got your bag sent into the TSA screening section. You've got your baggage tags already looped around. They're sending through. You're on your way to wherever you need to go to get to the gate. Okay. And typically it's down to or through or around to security, TSA. This is where you're going to walk through TSA. This is where things get fun. Kinda. Okay. I know you all regret and you absolutely hate dealing with security. Security is a very vital part of travel. And without security, most of us wouldn't be traveling at all anywhere. So we have that to appreciate. Okay. But to make this process easier, just like at the ticket counter, you know what they're going to ask you. Take off your shoes, take off your jackets, take out your laptops, throw out all your liquids above a certain amount, and um, take off all the things that would set off the machine, put them in the dish. So you know they're going to ask those 5 things. So let me ask you this. Put yourself in this position. You get up there and there's 15 people behind you. They're going to ask you all this. Now, it's probably going to take you 10 or 12 minutes to take all this off. Remember, your plane is leaving in 30 minutes. Do you want to take 15 minutes to run your little behind all through the airport terminal, out of breath, needing water? just to get to the airport gate for you to step on board, the very last passenger, because of that fiasco at TSA? No, right? So help us do your part and do yourself a favor for all of everyone else. Okay. Now, I say that with a bunch of love and support and passion for the rest of you. If we all help each other and do the same thing, this process would make going through security much easier. Now, some things you have to understand and you have to realize, okay? And it's out of your control. There may be TSA lines or TSA areas that you are told to go through, okay, that are not very highly staffed, that are not very thorough, that have different procedures. Those three things are out of your control. We as travelers, we understand that. Okay. It is just like going to work anywhere else. If you go to a restaurant, if you go to a retail business and there's four employees in a big department store, do you think you're going to be assisted and helped in 2 to 3 minutes when they have work to put on the shelf? Got to take care of a customer. They've got to ring up a customer in the front. They've got to make sure no one is stealing anything. No, right? It be it would be incredibly moronic, if not stupid, to think that you're going to be assisted in a short, quick amount of time because they've got other stuff that they got to do too, right? So the point is that when you know that they're asking those 5 questions, when you get up to that queue line, the little ribbon thing that they're going to probably pass you through, start taking off your shoes. Start removing your jacket. All the chains, you can wear these on the plane, folks, right? There's nothing that says you can't, right? Your necklaces, your jewelry, your watches, there is nothing that states you must remove it for the duration of the flight. But let me tell you, if you expect to walk through it and it not go off, that's kind of ridiculous. So, when you get to that queue line, take this off, put it in your bag, your personal item bag, okay? Or your backpack, whatever your airline allows you to take, okay? I know there are certain areas and certain sections with your ticket that allows you to take certain items. So verify that with your item, not your item, verify that with your airline first and foremost, okay? So take these off. That will speed up the process. Take your hat, put it in your backpack. Put as much as you can into your personal bags, and then when you get to there, if you can, take your laptop out, hold it in your arm, okay? And then bring what you have further up the queue line. As soon as it gets to where you are, all you have to do is pull out 1 or 2 tubs, okay? Put your laptop in a separate tub and the rest of your belongings at another one. You can even put in some TSA stations. Now you have to ask the agent that's there working what is appropriate, acceptable, and okay to do. Because some of them you can put everything in the bin, and some of them they ask that you separate each and every one. So please, 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 I beg you, make sure that this is okay with the TSA agent that is at the airport you're traveling. Okay. So make sure that you remove all these and just plop them in there when you're ready. And then when you're ready to go, push them through, right? So all you got to do when you get up through that line, once they've dumped your items, stand, ask them to let you go through, and then walk through. You've already cleared TSA. Okay. Now, if they got to pat you down, if they got to do random search, that might take a little bit longer, but you don't have to do that with removing everything, with taking everything out at the actual belt. Do you guys see where I'm coming from? You're speeding the process by taking care of the things you already would have done way before. Okay. Um, it's a similar thing as when you guys are making supper at home. When you guys are eating, do you cook the meal, let it finish, and then start setting up the table and then put the food out on there? No, right? because you can't put the food out until you've set the table. So, in the process of eating, if you set the table before you even cook it most of the way, 100% done, you are saving yourself time because when it's finished, you just move the plate or the item that you're cooking in or the casserole dish to the table, lay it down, and you serve it onto your plate because you've already set up the table. You've already set up the plates, the forks, the silverware, the napkins, everything. You're just ready to eat. Folks, TSA is no different. Folks, the baggage ticketing counter is no different. If you take care of the items that you know that's going to happen before they do it, you save that time. And I ask that everybody does that, not just you that is watching this video. If you encourage everyone that is traveling to do this and we all stay on the same page, we would be much more efficient in traveling. I've got to be honest, okay? If the belt decides to break down, if they decide to short staff them within that time frame, that is different. We can't control that, right? Same as when you go into the baggage claim area and the belt goes down and they can't feed the bags to you because the belt stopped working, right? It's going to take some time. You can't control that. I can't control that. But once it gets up and operational, then we can start flowing. But if we do our part, we can make the process faster. Okay, so that's tip number 4 is to remove the items that you typically would set off in security already in your bag so you avoid that process entirely. Okay. Now, if it sets it off because of something that's a discrepancy between you and TSA and the airlines, that's a different story. Okay? You'll have to take that up with TSA and the airlines, and maybe even FAA if it gets that far. So, that is my 4th tip. Okay, now, so you've gone through TSA, you're good to go. Okay. Um, my advice to you is to, if you know the airport, go to your gate, right? Go to your gate and scope out the layout of your gate. Where are you going to sit, right? Where are you going to be? Okay. If you're starving and you're absolutely ridiculously hungry, go to your gate, scope it out, and walk off and find something to eat. At least you know if for some reason they board earlier than you expect or they have an issue, you can always return and go to your gate. I have seen times where people have missed their flight because they were eating in a restaurant, they were drinking in a bar, they were held up in a queue line, and they felt that purchasing an item was more important than going back to the gate. Okay. And I also have to tell you, folks, working in an airport and flying, they will not open that door back up because you decided to go grab an item or you decided to go get something, right? Now, if they tell you that they will wait, that's different. Okay. If they tell you, okay, yes, that we will wait for you. Okay. But 98% of the time, when it gets to that point where they're going to close the doors, those doors close and they do not open. I promise you. Okay. So the 5th tip is to go to your gate as soon as you get to TSA. Okay. So that if there are a lot of people standing around, you can go get something to eat, right? Maybe it's a little crowded. Maybe it's a little bit overwhelming. Go get something to drink, go get something to eat. The line will die down. You can go sit down, enjoy it until your name gets called or until your group gets called. Okay. Um, that brings me to my 6th tip. And this is going to coincide with the same tip as tip number 5. And actually, tip number 1. So, when you get to the gate, what do they ask you for? You see where I'm going with this? The more you prepare along your journey of going to your destination, the faster this process goes. If you're traveling domestic, you're going to be asked, "Can I see your boarding pass?" Okay. Now, luckily for you guys, I also want to share with you 9 times out of 10, your cell phone actually becomes your boarding pass. Now, um, I don't see a boarding pass here because I don't really have one ready, but you can use your phone to tap as a boarding pass. Now, also, a little bit of a disclaimer here. I don't think that this option is available in Samsung. I could be wrong, but I will double check on that for you and send you guys the correct information in the comment section or into the information section. So check back there too. If you go and you end up having Apple Wallet, okay, Apple Wallet actually allows you to carry your boarding passes. So, why am I telling you this? Because, yeah, it just says add to wallet. Um, you can actually add your boarding pass right from the home screen and you can save it to the home screen. So let's say you're at the TSA counter, right? And they ask you for your boarding pass. You tap the screen, show them your boarding pass, that it shows your name, shows and everything. You tap it, you're good to go. Now, you can still turn your screen off and keep it in your in your pocket, but don't lose this because this is your boarding pass if you elect to have a e-boarding pass. Okay. Now you can ask for a printed boarding pass and it can still add as a backup. In fact, I am going to suggest you print out a boarding pass. Now, why would I when I have my phone? Because let's say you misplace your phone, you can't find it in your bag, all this, that, and the other, and they say, "Can I have your boarding pass?" Take your boarding pass out of your pocket, out of your jeans, your jacket, pull it out, tap it, you're good to go. You can walk through. This process can continue, right? Um, so that is my my sixth tip. Have your boarding pass handy and ready when you're standing in the queue. Okay. Um, when you have been ticketed and you have been given permission to board via them accepting your boarding pass, okay, you're now going to walk down the jet bridge, go through a stairwell, go outside, be directed to an aircraft. Okay. You're going to then get up to the boarding stairs. Okay. You're going to then go up to the flight attendants and they're going to assist you and direct you to where you need to be. 9 times out of 10, they show you where you need to go. Um, they're going to either offer you something or show you something or assist you in some way or another. Okay. And you're going to follow through. Now, I am begging you guys because I see this all too often. People that are sitting all the way at the back are putting their bags all the way at the front. So here's what's happening, folks. This is tip number 7. Place your bags where you're sitting. Okay. They're there for a reason. Okay. If you place your bag next to, let's say, row number 7, lucky number 7, right? Row number 7, and you're row 33, okay? Now, let's say row number 12 has got all the space filled up, okay? They can only find space all the way down in row 40. Let's say that there's fifty rows on this aircraft, and they can only find space in row 40. Do you know what's going to happen? They have to push everyone out of the way to go get their bag in row 40 while you have to sit down and wait for them to get their bag, walk all the way up front, and walk off. You guys know when the plane is parked, you all stand up ready to walk off the aircraft because it's been a long flight. Imagine having to wait even longer because someone had to put their bag all the way in the back, right? So when you get on board, scope your section and then look above as you walk through. Okay. If you get on board and they are politely allowing you to put it up there because there is room there, or because the people that sit there are warm enough to allow you to do that, then I can't fault them for that. But if you resort to that, okay, tip number 7 is to scope out your baggage area or baggage section, okay, above the overhead bin, then this process shouldn't be that hard, that difficult. And by the time everyone stands up, by the time the jet bridge or door or what have you, the stairs get attached and the door is open and they allow you to walk off, it should be grab my bag, walk off the plane, walk into the terminal, go to my baggage area. It's that simple, right? But we can't do that if everyone is fighting because we're putting bags in these different sections, okay? Um, Sometimes it just happens that people show up late to the gate. Let's just say that one of the planes was supposed to arrive 30 minutes before your plane departs because it was a connection, but let's just say that they showed up 5 minutes ago for a plane that's departing 7 minutes later. They're going to have to run to the gate, okay? And let's say that they're sitting all the way back in row 30. They're gonna have to walk on board, probably all the bins are full, and then if that occurs, the flight attendant should be saying, "Okay, so there's one spot here, maybe we can finagle room and get it in there so we can go out, we can release the brakes and get you out of here on time," okay? They're there to assist you for an on-time departure, and we're not here to rush all of you, but let me tell you, if you expect to get to your destination on time, that's great. But there are also people making connections. That's where things are critical. The longer and more we delay our departure, the shorter amount of time that these people that have connections have to get there. Imagine traveling into Atlanta, into DFW, into Chicago. Have you guys seen Chicago? Do yourself a favor, open up Google Maps or Apple Maps and just zoom out, try to find Chicago, Illinois, and find ORD, not Chicago Midway, MDW, okay? It's ORD, okay? They're just about 30 miles away from each other, okay? And it's on the right-hand side of it. Just look at the sheer massive size of the airport. There's, I think, about 8 or 9 runways, active runways on any given day, and the terminal is huge. Now, imagine coming into one of those terminals and walking all the way to the other terminal. It's probably gonna take you about 20 to 25 minutes to get there. Imagine your connection being in late because the departure was late, right? And we're not even gonna touch on the fact that weather can also reduce this too. So, if there's probable weather, if we do our part and get the plane on time as passengers, then we can reduce the likelihood of us having to run like a chicken with a head cut off onto our next gate to make our connection to get to where we need to be, our final destination. You guys see where I'm coming from? Again, I want to make you guys aware of something. I work for the airlines, but I also travel in the airlines. I am with you on the same page when I travel. Okay. I know it's frustrating when some of these processes and some of these thoughts aren't being entirely thought through before it occurs, right? Some of these things, it kind of takes a while to like sink in to understand the more you fly. But stuff like at least having your boarding pass out and ready, that's common sense. Having your boarding pass at the gate ready, common sense, right? Weighing your bag, you know they're gonna ask you, just go weigh it. Save yourself that trouble. Save me that trouble, right? So that's tip number 7 is to scope out your baggage location when you board your aircraft. Now, the bigger the aircraft, the more storage areas there are. So see if you can find an area around you, not way far away from you in Timbuktu, okay? So, um tip number 8, okay, is to keep your bottom portion or that peelable section of your baggage sticker. Okay. Now, if you do it, if they do it, meaning the airlines, if they do it, they will still give it to you. That's part of their job because that's your claim stub. Keep that with you. They tell you this all the time in the intercom. And folks, let me tell you, the amount of times passengers have walked off with someone else's luggage, it is ridiculous. I have been working so many times that I have heard more than once on multiple occasions, would customer name X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C please return to gate so and so? You have the wrong luggage. I repeat, would customer X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C please report to the gate? You've switched luggage with so and so customer. Thank you. It's not a joke. It actually has occurred multiple times because a lot of these luggage cases look alike. Some of these cases are alike so much that they're identical. If you look at them, the same color, the same feature, the same pockets, the same zippers, the same interlocks. So that also brings me to my next tip, tip number 8. Okay, maybe tip number 9. Okay, so tip number 9: bring something with you that you permanently affix to your luggage that you will never see again or touch again to use when traveling to identify your bag that is different from everybody else. So when I travel, I have what I like to call a crew tag. Okay. We have tags that identify that, we work in that specific, airport and that sort of thing. So when I go to an airport and I see it run around the luggage thing, I look for that little black tag. Okay. Now, if I'm going to an area that's most likely going to be affixed to, meaning as well, then maybe what I'll do is I'll go find a piece of cloth and tie it there that's not lengthy, just maybe less than a foot, right? Because you don't want it to get caught on something and torn and ripped up. Okay. Maybe even something like, I don't know, a small little keychain that you would fix to one of the zippers. I wouldn't encourage that because let me tell you, it can get caught on a lot of stuff and it can get torn off. So avoid loose things, but you want something that you can permanently affix that won't come off easily, right? So that's tip number 9 is to find something that will affix to your luggage bag that will make baggage claim easier process for you. Okay. Um, And so now we've gone through making the process faster, okay? But we still haven't talked about and discussed here with you guys how to make the trip more enjoyable, okay? So, tip number 1 in making the trip more enjoyable, okay? When you sit down, I know you're probably going to want to open up your laptops, you're probably going to want to open up a magazine, you're probably going to want to pull out your iPhone or your Samsung smartphone and try and find a playlist. Okay. So anytime that you fly, you have to check with your airline on this, folks, but I'm giving you a general overall timeline here. Okay. It's different for each airline. But typically for like the airline I work for other airlines, um, it's usually an hour, 60 minutes. They provide refreshment service. Refreshment service. What is that? Drink service. Okay. Now, when you get there, instead of them saying, "Hi, would you like something or would you like a beverage?" You don't have to be like, "What do you have?" They be like, "Well, it's right there." 9 times out of 10, folks, they typically will have all this information in a written form where it will be in a magazine, it will be in a pamphlet, it will be in a brochure. Like for us, we have our own magazine that we stick in the back pocket of the chair in front of you, a seat back pocket, right? It's usually in the very back section of the entertainment and beverage and Wi-Fi, section. Read it, and it also shows you some airport maps, which is handy to see, okay? And that's another tip later on, so we'll get to that point later. Just hold on, okay? So Read that. That's handy. That's there for you. They didn't just put that in there just legally to say we did that. It's there so you can make a decision before you even get your snacks, okay? And it will also tell you what snacks are available if you sit in first class, business class, okay? And I would also like to pause this as well. I'm really speaking on the economy and economy plus section. I'm not really speaking on the first class section, um, because not very many passengers get the opportunity to sit in first class. I will touch up on first class in a different segment, because I think first class flying is a whole separate entity in itself. Um, Nothing is changing about the flight. It's the service that's changing, okay? It's the service that is different, okay? Entirely different. And I will tell you some stories and some good things on, flying in first class, business, Polaris, whatever your airline calls it, okay? So, um, yeah. So the second tip I'm going to suggest for you is to understand that typically the layout on a passenger aircraft that you're going to fly is probably what we call in the airlines 3 by 3. That means a window, an aisle, and a middle seat. Okay. So a window out this side, a middle seat, and an aisle seat right here. Okay. So this, where my tips of my fingers are pointing to the nose of the aircraft, okay? This would be your aisle, this would be the middle, this would be the window. So you got 2 aisles, 2 windows, and 2 middles. Well, obviously, Sean, I can see that, right? Enough, just move on. Gotcha, but hold on. So you know that there's going to be one armrest between the middle section here and the middle section here, and this person is going to have one armrest. But do you see the confliction? Three of you are sitting in there, and three of you are sitting in there, and there's two armrests. So this tip involves being a decent human being. Okay. This is not even an airline thing. This is just being a decent human being. Okay. If you get there in your seat first and you're sitting at the window, usually the people at the window have the luxury of being able to kind of sleep against the window and use the window as their armrest kind of thing. So that alleviates the armrest option from the person on the window section and this person as well. So now it's down to these two people. Okay. Now, typically, they will ask each other, the one that's sitting in the middle section, these two people will say, "Hey, do you mind if I use your armrest? Is it okay if I use this?" And if they're okay with it, 9 times out of 10, they will say, "Yeah, you can use that. That's fine." Now, that's a mutual agreement between you two passengers, okay? It's not an agreement that's being done between the airline and you, it's between the passengers and you, okay? Are we cordial on that? Yes? Okay. So, one suggestion I also suggest that you do is, and again, you can heed my warning, but I'm going to suggest this because this makes the world of a difference. Okay. Now, you kind of have to use some caution here because you got to read body language. Folks, I can't tell you this enough. One of the things you really need to focus on when you fly is reading body language because some people do not want to be bothered. Some people wouldn't mind having a conversation, and some people, while they are okay being themselves, don't mind having a small conversation, okay? There are the chatty ones. There are the ones that just wanna tune out, put in their headphones, their earphones, their earplugs, or what they have you, okay? Their Bose headphones, all that good stuff, and just fly, okay? That's them, they're gonna do that, and that's fine, okay? I've done that. It's okay, right? Matter of fact, I think if you fly late at night, it's expected you're gonna put on your headphones and you're gonna fall asleep. It's the perfect way to sleep. The white noise from the engines and the ambiance and all that and your music, oh, so comforting. Okay, so back to the tip here. So tip number 4, get to know your seatmates. Okay. No, you don't have to get to know the seats in front of you or behind you. Now, if you want to be overly friendly, you absolutely could. Okay. Because 9 times out of 10, when you get up from your seat, that's typically what you do is you talk to the people behind you and you talk to people in front of you because you're like, ugh, I just want to get out of here. They're like, I know. Okay. So, but the point of this tip is to get to know your seatmates, right? And I'm talking about if you sit on the left side of the aircraft, get to know the person on the aisle and the window if you're the one in the middle. If you're one in the end, same goes for the other two, right? There's no difference. So that can help alleviate the tension between the armrests because if you are nice to one another, cordial with one another, that seems to help out, right? Okay, so that's my fourth tip. I'm trying to lose track here, but um, the fifth tip: if you know you're going to get cold, okay, and it's going to get cold later, when you get cold, it's probably not the best time to ask for a blanket. You absolutely could. I'm not saying don't, but if you know you're going to get cold when you fly, save yourself a step. Be like, "Hey, I know it's probably gonna get cold later. Do you mind if I grab a blanket so that I won't have to ask you later when you're running around serving snacks, running around assisting other people, running in the back of the kitchen, serving food, all that good stuff. It'll save you and me, a hassle from having to do that. Would that be cool with you? Okay. The staff is there to assist you. They're not there to work for you. They're there to assist you, okay? Because they still got stuff they have to do, right? They're there for your safety, they're there for your support, and they're there for your assistance, right? But they don't work for you, they work for the airline. So if we're all on the same page together and help each other out throughout the pre-boarding process, pre-arrival process, departure process, the flying process, and the arrival process, flying would be so much easier, so much better for some of you guys, I promise you, okay? I also want to let you know some of you guys are probably morbidly scared of flying. And you know what? That is okay too. People are free and okay to be scared of things. That's just part of being human. We are not machines. We will not be machines. Maybe that's a topic for another time. But um, that was just a small joke, guys. Don't take it so seriously. But the point of it is that we're human. So if we treat each other like human beings, treat each other like civilized people, then it would all be okay. So, coinciding with that, if you want to make your trip a little comfortable, just let them know, "Hey, I want to let you know I'm I'm scared, deathly of it, more, entirely." They know that, okay? And they will keep that in the back of their mind. Like, hey, I should probably go and check on this person. They won't say, are you okay? You know, probably 9 times out of 10, they're just going to walk by and keep an eye on you and make sure you're doing okay. Like if they see you're freaking out and all this stuff, then they can escalate that. Now, if it gets to where you need medical assistance, then they can figure out what to do from that point. Okay. And again, don't don't be too, weary. If you think you're going to get to that point, my honest suggestion to you is that you may want to rethink flying. But if you're comfortable enough to walk on board, to get a drink, a beverage, to talk to people, then that's fine. But if the act of it moving and flying scares you, then they can always check up on you and, assist you. Now, if a flight is like 3 hours, then they may have to check up on you a lot more, but yes, my suggestion to you is just let them know, "Hey, I'm not really comfortable with flying, so I just ask that you occasionally come and check up on me," sort of thing, okay? So, okay, the plane has landed. Drum roll, please. You're welcome to take out your phones. You're welcome to take out your tablets. You're welcome to take out what you need once the plane has pretty much gotten to the gate. Okay. I don't suggest you take out your tablets and start doing work that you need to do because you're going to need your tray tables and that's going to hold up the process for people leaving the aircraft, right? Matter of fact, I don't suggest you do that. But if you want to take out your phone, tell your loved ones or your family, your friends, whoever it is, hey, maybe even your boss, or maybe the conference that you're about ready to hit in about 20 minutes. Hey, I just got off the plane. We landed. I'm at the gate. I'll be there shortly, whatever. Okay. You can do that. But if the plane just pulled in, they just parked it, the, the I'm going to give you guys a visual here. Okay. I work for the airlines. I work outside of the aircraft. I am the one unloading your bags and I'm the one loading your bags. I'm also the one pulling the plane into the gate. Okay. So I see this visually. Let me tell you, when your plane gets to your gate, you're not getting off the plane in less than 60 seconds. It's just not going to happen. Multiple things have to occur. First of all, when the plane gets to the gate and the engines are spooled down, okay, us on the ground crew have to chalk this plane so the plane goes nowhere. Okay. We have to chalk the front wheels and we have to chalk the landing gears. Pretty standard common practice. You would hope that it doesn't go anywhere, right? So while that's occurring, customer service is guiding the jet bridge up to the plane. Okay. The speed of this behemoth of a machine is not the speed of a Roadrunner. You guys all seen Roadrunner, right? Like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner? No, it's not that fast. So by you standing up when the plane is parked, nobody's getting out yet because they still have to park it. They still have to deploy that canopy, that thing that goes over top of the body, right? They still have to deploy that. They still have to ensure that the emergency slide won't deploy. They still have to ensure that the door can open, and they still have to operate the door, open up the door, and then they still have to let the rows from 1 until 15, 15 through 30 off the plane. Do you see the confliction here? If you are sitting in row 50 and you think that you're getting off in 3 or 4 seconds, seems kind of ridiculous, right? So that's why everybody always says this. Just because the plane is parked doesn't mean you're getting off the plane any faster. So cool, relax, take your time. And when your row gets to you, that's when you can stand up, grab your stuff, and then walk out of your aisle and get off, the board. Plain and simple, right? I see this over and over and over and over again. Matter of fact, folks, I am not exaggerating this. I have been flying since I was the age of 4. Okay. Now, it's fair to say that I don't remember much from the age of 4 until the age of 14 or 15 years old. I can remember past that, but nonetheless, let's continue. I have never, ever seen a flight that was so effective that I thought I was dreaming. I've never seen a flight park, all the passengers were seated until their row rose to the standing level, grabbed their bag, and walked off. I have always seen everyone in that entire aircraft stand up like a church choir ready to sing a song and try to wait till they walk off. I will never understand this. It's just something working for the airlines I will never understand. Flying as a passenger, I will never understand. I personally just think it's kind of crazy that we all expect to deboard a plane in 12 seconds after it just parked, right? Um, it, it's the same thing as you guys pulling into your driveway and expecting everybody to be in the house in 3 seconds. It's not going to happen. What do you need to do? You have to open your door. You have to get out your door. You have to close your door. You have to walk around. You're probably going to have to, before then, grab your cell phone. You're probably going to have to grab your wallet. You're probably going to have to grab your coat. You're probably going to have to walk around, go to your front door, unlock your door, get in your door, close your door, and lock up. That process, I guarantee you, doesn't take 3 seconds. It's going to take you maybe 10 or 12 seconds. But that's the point. The point is this process takes time. So by you thinking it's going to take 3 seconds, it's going to rush the process into being delayed even further. Okay. So when the plane parks, just relax, just calm down. I promise you all will get off the plane. Everyone wants to get off the plane. We don't want to keep you on the plane. The whole point is to get you off because other people have to board too. Okay. Um, but they can't do that until you're all off the plane. So there's no sense in pushing and shoving and all that good stuff. So that is my suggestion on while you are on the physical plane. Now, we haven't even discussed getting to the destination, your arrival, right? Okay. Now, when you guys park, I also want to tell you listen to the announcement because if you catch it, they're giving you all the information you need. Okay. I understand when you get to your seat, you're like, oh, I got to get to the baggage claim. I got to get to my taxi. I got to get to my Uber. The time is crunching. Time is crunching. Time is crunching. They're saving you the time from looking at the board. They're saving you the time from asking this question later. They're telling you which baggage claim your bags are going to show up. They will typically say, hey, welcome to X, Y, and Z. I hope you've had a good stay. Your baggage, if you just arrived, your bags are going to be sent to baggage claim, sa, 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 sa. That's the information you need. So mentally, you can still think of your other stuff, but listen for that small bit of information. So that's my tip number one on the deboarding process. Listen for that announcement because that's going to help you later on. Okay. So when you walk off the aircraft, you're going to go find baggage claim. Okay. And you're going to walk to baggage claim. All right. Now, the other thing I'm going to suggest, this is tip number two. The bathroom that is closest to your gate is probably going to be overloaded with passengers. Okay. Especially if all these planes pulled in close to around the same time. It's going to be overloaded. So if you want to go find a seat at the bathroom or find a stall in the bathroom, go find one further on down. You're guaranteed a seat or a stall, whatever, right? So that's tip number two. Tip number three is going to coincide with tip number two. As you're walking to find the restroom, start scanning the stores, right? Because once you go to the bathroom, you can say, all right, we just passed so and so. Let's go grab a bite there. And then I'll walk to ground transportation. I'll go walk to baggage claim. Okay. Um, After that process, you're going to go to the baggage claim area. Okay. Um, at that point, there's going to be a massive board, huge, and it's going to be for all of the arrivals. Make sure it states that is tip number five. Make sure the board that you're reading states arrivals, and it's going to show you all of the destinations. It's going to show you the time and the baggage claim number. That baggage claim number is going to coincide with that announcement you heard the airline present, right? Okay, so it's no joke and it's no surprise that they are giving this to you. Okay. Now, moving on. So that board is going to provide you the flight number, the destination, the baggage claim, and all this. There will also be other flight numbers that are going to pop up. Folks, unfortunately, we in the airlines partner with other airlines too. And their flight numbers are different. They're still going into the same airport. They're still going to the same baggage claim. So when you see your flight number, other flight numbers are coinciding with the same thing. For example, my airline, United, okay, that I work for, also partners with Lufthansa Airlines, okay? Their flight number will be on there as well. Okay. It's gonna be the destination, which is like Washington Dulles or Las Vegas. Let's say I'm going from Washington Dulles to Vegas, which is LAS. It'll say Las Vegas, and then it'll say UAL 123, but it'll say LH 456 when it flips. That means that both my flight from Dulles on United and the flight from Lufthansa to Las Vegas will be on the same baggage claim. Okay. It's the same flight, right? So make sure that your flight is also correct, right? Because a lot of times what'll happen is they'll have this number on this claim and this number on this claim. It's both from Washington Dulles, or it's like four of them from Washington Dulles to these baggage claims. And you may say, oh, mine is on three, but really it's the fourth one that's on claim number one, right? Because of that flight number. That flight number is supposed to be correct, not the claim number. So that is tip number 5, okay? Um, so this is if your flight is terminating, okay? When you get off the aircraft and you're making a connection, okay? One of two things, all right? Now, if it's a very, very, very tight connection, you're more than welcome to ask the podium on the um, arriving podium, "Hey, I'm making a connection to this gate. Can you please tell me my gate that I need to run to?" Okay? They will tell you the podium, or they will tell you the flight number, they will tell you the gate number, and they will usually tell you which direction you need to run to make sure you got your connection, okay? Or there will always be a departure board inside of the terminal. That departure board is for you, okay? The people that are making a connection. So you go to your connection, you find your final destination, okay? You're not looking for the connections and connections, your final destination, okay? Because it'll all coincide together. Trust me, folks. So you go find that board and you find your flight number and you find your destination and you find your gate number, and your gate number is where you need to go because that plane is there. Now, if you get there and you see that if flight number is different, double check because it may be the prior flight that hasn't left yet. You don't have to panic. There might just be that the plane that's coming in is going to be what we call a quick turn. They're gonna bring the plane in, they're gonna offload the passengers, they're gonna have you already boarding, right, at the checkout counter, the podium stand, right? And then you're gonna all be standing in line ready to board as soon as the last passenger gets off the, aircraft, right? So make sure that it is the right destination and the right, information on the screen, okay? Also, when you're making a connection, and this is also while you're in the airport for your single, flight and departure, there are occasions that occur which we call gate changes. Sometimes operations under their control and sometimes out of their control have to move your departure to a different gate for various reasons, okay? Some of them we can't really help, honestly, because there's not enough room. The, gate that was originally assigned, the aircraft hasn't left yet, and they can't park 2 at the same time. So they moved your gate so you can get on the aircraft and depart before the other one even leaves, okay? That's called a gate change. 9 times out of 10, your flight will not change its gate, but there is that one possibility that it will. So when they state, "Listen up, folks, we have a gate change. So and so flight is moved to this gate." That should instantly ring a bell. I should probably listen to the gate number that they're assigning so I could run to that gate that they're changing it to. Okay. I'm also here to tell you that when they make that announcement, that number is also written in your apps. Okay. We're all in this technology era, folks, right? So when you go to flight status, right? So let me show you this again. You see where it says Charlie 17? Okay. It will change. it will say Bravo 32, right? You're like, wait a minute, it was Charlie 17. Something's wrong. Let me refresh this. It's gonna stay the same. Let me go and go out of this. It's no joke. You can double check this with the podium and you can double check this with the intercom. But 9 times out of 10, there typically won't be a gate change. But that one time, that's going to coincide with the information that's being given on the intercom and with the new assignment area. And you'll see people going from there and leaving like, little pack rats or whatever. All right. And if you want to be a good traveler, to be somebody who's like a veteran traveler, and even if you don't travel often, one of the things that makes you stand out from the rest of the people is just by connecting the information they're sharing with you and using it in real time. Because oftentimes, folks, the airlines use real time information. So the information they're giving to you is in real time. Like when it changes gates, they just changed it like 10 seconds ago. So go to that gate, right? Um, and so when you hear that, let your other passengers know, "Hey, letting you know, the gate has just changed. You might wanna check your itinerary." And it's like, "Oh my god, it changed too. Let's go." And then if you wanna be a good human being, a good civil human being, let the people in the terminal know, "Hey, our gate has changed, let's go ahead and head to the terminal," and that sort of thing. Now, if you know another language, you can be a superhero and translate for people that don't speak that language that's currently spoken, okay? Um, but so that's another tip for you guys. I think that's about all the tips I have for being a friendly traveler. The rest of it is kind of common sense, when you get to, like, outside the door. Oh, before I forget, you guys need to focus on, the signage in the airport, all right? And there's signs everywhere. There's signs usually telling you where to go for baggage claim, where to go for other terminals, where to go for restrooms, where to go for food, where to go for a lot of other stuff. But when you get into the main terminal, of course, you guys are familiar with Uber, Lyft, and all the other, I think it's called the rideshare app or something. You guys are all familiar with that, right? Not really a thing of the past. It still exists today. So, because some of you use Uber and some of you use Lyft, like when you go into LAX, the very first thing that they have is a huge Lyft and Uber lot. It's huge, right? And they have like different sections for them to pull into. It's like 4 or 5 lanes worth. It's crazy. So you need to know where to go. Now, the signs will be posted to tell you where to go for these specific things. Now, for my airport, I work in Dulles. We have a metro stop right in front. We have Uber right in front, and we have hotel rooms or hotel shuttles right in front. We also have people that are picking you up, like family members in a different area. So make sure you know where you're being picked up. Okay. There are several, and this typically occurs in all the airports, right? There's some that may be just one door, okay, for the very, 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 very small municipal airports. But stuff like regionals and hubs and destinations and international arrival airports, okay, they have multiple arrival doors. Okay. Now I tell you that because let's say that you're getting somebody to pick you up and they're going to pick you up at door number 6 and you're standing at door number 2. So you say, "Hey, I'm at door number 2." Well, where am I? I don't know. Where are you? "Oh, I'm at door number 6. I got to go around." That's handy information to have. So if you're being picked up, visualize and scan where you are and use that information and give it to whoever is picking you up or whoever you're going to. Even give it to the people that are helping you go to where you need to be. Because there are people that can assist you, say, "Hey, Uber is at this door," or "Hey, Metro is at that door," or "Hey, your hotel shuttle is closer to this door." Okay. Um, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the live here now, folks, but I, wanted to give you some tips on how to be flying friendly. Now, you can use these tips on flying on a ship, like a cruise ship. You can use these tips on if you travel by car, right? All these tips are pretty much unanimous and coincide with each other, but I was talking specifically about flying because that's what this channel is about. So share this with your friends, share this with your family. I hope you enjoy it. And you're always welcome to drop some comments in the comment section on what you want to see next time. But folks, I hope you like my podcast and I hope it's been informative and I hope you guys have learned something. So as always, you know me, I'm Sean. Let's do this together. You ready? 3, 2, 1. I'm out.